Well, Stanford University has released its own index of forbidden words, topping the harmful language guide. Phrases like beating a dead horse, turning a blind eye, and even the word American. According to the guide, the goal is to eliminate language that is racist, violent, or biased. And joining us tonight with reaction is Gabriella Hoffman, Senior Fellow at the Independent Women's Forum. Gabriella, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. A lot to get to. But first, I want to get your reaction to Stanford University policing language. Why these phrases, especially the word American, since that is what those of us who live in the United States are?
Thanks for having me. It's great to join you. And Stanford, much like a lot of institutions of higher learning, are fixated on things that really aren't as divisive or as controversial as they'd like to make them out to be. I wager, why are they pursuing this instead of wanting to instill a curiosity in their students and preparing them for adult life in their respective professions? Fixating on American being insensitive, and similarly with immigrant being insensitive, and the whole host of other words, to me signals that there's something amiss happening at Stanford and other institutions like it. And it's very disconcerting to see that. I'm from California, and we learned about Leland Stanford and all his various different accomplishments and what he instilled in the university. And it seems like it's falling away from the mission statement that he and other co-founders put forth.
Yeah, in his statement to Fox News, a spokesperson for Stanford said the guidelines are for internal use, specifically the university's IT community. That said, Gabriella, what do you think it signals?
If they're claiming that it's simply for internal use, it means that there's been a lot of blowback and they're trying to kind of lessen the extremes of the reaction to their list. They were working on this for a long period of time, about 18 months. And if they're kind of downplaying the severity of the words and their list, it means that they're admitting kind of defeat and that, okay, it wasn't really that important. But actually, it did trigger a lot of conversation. It's been covered all over the news because of the idiosyncrasies that it's laying out, that it's calling on people to reprogram their language or to reprogram the English language or idioms or other expressions. And people don't really fixate on these expressions that much. There are, I think, other greater concerns for Stanford students to worry about, whether or not they can be prepared for handling life outside of the university setting.
I want to turn to something else now. The Cambridge Dictionary has changed the definition of two very basic words, woman and man. They're now tweaked to include transgender people. Your thoughts on that? And why do you think they did this, and why now?
The reimagining of words is not a new phenomenon. I know Merriam-Webster Dictionary rather, has also similarly dabbled with this. Other different institutions for spelling and grammar have also similarly dabbled in the rewriting and kind of restructuring of words. And I don't think it's going to have a positive impact in the long term. When you kind of dilute what a woman is or what a man is, it's going to have a lot of downstream effects. We're seeing that when you do this, it invites, let's say, biological men into women's spaces and vice versa. It has a lot of cultural impact, and it's not improving, let's say, the language for the better when you're doing this. And you can identify these individuals differently instead of qualifying them as men and women respectively. You can be sensitive to their concerns, but you don't have to upend biological definitions of men and women in the process. And that's, I think, what most Americans understand and agree with. But they're really tired and really bothered by seeing kind of the reimagining of what a definition of a man and what the definition of a woman is.
Yeah, Gabriella, something else I want to talk on is, we've been hearing a lot about these so-called family-friendly drag shows. One particularly disturbing show took place recently in Austin, Texas, and it was called The Drag Queen Christmas. Extremely inappropriate and sexual in nature, and it featured performers showcasing fake bare breasts and exposed buttocks in front of very young children. And this was all in the name of diversity and inclusion. I want to get your reaction to that and what's really going on. I mean, what's the agenda here?
A lot of these type of events, while extreme in nature, were often reserved for adults. And we can obviously debate whether or not it's appropriate even for adults to do that. But they build these events as adults only, and yet now they're incorporating kids into this in this pretty inappropriate situation and setting for children. And when you're involving children in very explicit evocative dances and content like this, there's a lot of questions to be asked. Is it appropriate? Why are kids being there? Why are the parents bringing their kids along to this? And we see supporters of this say, well, our opponents are making things up. They're exaggerating the nature of this, but we're seeing clear evidence, undercover footage from inside these events, highlighting the rather graphic nature that is entailed in this, and also kind of diluting and distilling Christmas in the process too, with the inappropriate sexual nature of these shows. And I think parents are more awakened to this, whether it's content found in educational materials or these shows which are billed as kid friendly. I think parents are more heightened to these type of explicit materials and events, and they're going to be paying attention and raising alarms and expressing their concerns here.
Now we're going to leave it right there. Gabriella, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your insights, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having me. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.